The waters take what they will, and yield to no one. Except to those whose will can conquer them. Veiled in mists, a sword that cuts the roiling waters. Aislinn, seaborn servant of the Phoenix King of Ulthuan, master of the tides and the lurkers in the deep. For those who dare oppose him, he'll leave them ruined in his wake.
Well, I'm something of a ruiner myself. RuinusInsight here, welcoming you to part 1 of a brand new Total Warhammer 3 Immortal Empires campaign. The only nautical-themed lord in the Tides of Torment DLC, Aislinn the Sea Lord. Before we set sail though, the plugs. Check out our Discord and join the Ruinous host, consider joining the channel or becoming a Patreon to get access to perks like exclusive votes, or support the channel by purchasing games like the Tides of Torment DLC through our affiliate link in the description below. Now, let's take a quick look at the Sea Patrol faction. Faction-wise, these guys are a whole new ballgame. There's a lot of words there, but most of it will just have to be shown off in-game. Really, in short, they have access to dragon ships, which are horde armies at sea, similar to Black Arcs. They gift most of the settlements they capture to other high elves for rewards, and their own settlements are limited, so they don't really have to own a province fully in order to use commandments. Otherwise, they can use sea lanes better than other factions can, and have unique sea lanes of their own, plus they recruit ocean creatures quicker, faction-wide. For Aislinn's own army, he can attack port settlements directly from the sea, and can swim in just a teensy bit further. His entire army has increased missile strength at sea, and he gets cheaper upkeep for, by the looks of it, most of the DLC units, with the exception of the Lothern Skycutters there. Lastly, he gets the Iron-Handed Captain ability, which lets him basically rally a routing unit. Pretty simple, the Lord effects, pretty complicated the faction effects, we'll make it clearer in-game. So, towards that, very hard is what we're going with setup-wise, as I find that to be the sweet spot with the AI stats modifier dialed all the way up. And that's it for me, so all glory to the algorithm, and let's get to it.
Those who dare defile Ulthuan shall see neither mercy nor future.
I certainly hope so, but you're rather far from Ulthuan at the time, sir. And ooh, we immediately start off with a bunch of the new units: Lothern Skycutters, Oceanids, and Ship's Company, which are a new sword and board trash tier unit, but I'm sure Aislinn will be able to power them up pretty significantly, trash tier or not. Lothern Skycutters I'm admittedly used to from SFO, but I am curious to see how they perform here and vanilla by comparison. Yes. Anyway, we have how they play for the High Elf Sea Patrol, and usually I'd spend the next 2 or 3 minutes describing all the new stuff about this faction and how they work, but there's so much of it, it's so different from the other high elves that I'm not going to do that. Rather, I'm going to simply cover the new elements as we sort of encounter them. Because look, we have 3 new currencies. We have the Elven colonies and Elven sea outposts system. We have the dedication, which is used in the Asur domination, which we will unlock later. We have the Patrons of the Realms, which is another system which will eventually lead to Confederation. Basically lots and lots of stuff. I will cover it as we run into it rather than now. What we do want to do is... maybe give this a read. Okay, wait, 2 seconds. First of all, what do you have? Oh! Melee defense +5 for the entire army? That's pretty nice. I like it. Good job, Miss Mage. And yes, I am excited to try out this mist lore on the new Mist Mages. Now, the stuff that we will cover immediately, first of all, Aislinn has a dragon ship, which is, well, not the size of a Black Ark, maybe, but for gameplay purposes, it's a function essentially identical to one, as it allows us to be a horde army in the sea. Not just on the sea, of course, we also have the Mist Landing stance, which is kind of like a teleportation stance that allows us to go from sea to land and immediately attack, which should be pretty darn useful. Now, we have got to... well, let's give this a read. The Eastern Isles are the most remote of the Asur colonies. While there are many seafaring nations who would covet Ulthuan's dominion over the Sea of Dread, it strikes you as improbable that mere pirates could have found them by anything other than sheer chance. That will be their misfortune. None of them will ever leave these isles again, and the flotsam of their wretched vessels will serve as scaffolding for our future outpost. Speaking of, Aislinn, begin. So Tor Elisor will be our first fight, and close victory. I don't see that being close, but, well, it's a first fight, and it's designed never to be lost. Huh, maybe we should have attacked those guys. Yeah, we're gonna go for this one. Go.
We hold domain over the sea. None shall thread it without our sanction.
Alrighty, here we go. Aislinn looking pretty good. He's got twin blades, which is nice. Oh, I'd love to see him fight on foot against the Lokir and his own red blades. That would be nice as well. Of course, we have the Mist Mage there in addition, and the new Mist Lord that we'll be trying out. I guess we've only got the one spell to start off with, the Mathlann Spite, which is a speed reduction plus a little bit of damage. We got the new Sword and Board Ship's Crew, or Ship's Company, rather. Those are some big old shields, but otherwise, you know, elves, shields, swords. And they look exactly as you expect them to look like. Oh, the Lothern Skycutters. Quite interested in what these guys look like compared to the SFO version. Well, they look quite nice. And they look quite nice indeed. They're going to be a little bit more fragile, I'm willing to bet, but pretty... well, we'll see how effective they are when we go. And of course, last but not least, the Oceanids, which are a monstrous infantry, a water elemental mini-type unit. I'm kind of meh about the idea of the unit. I'm sure it's a very nice thing for the roster, generally speaking, and just sort of the concept of the unit bothers me slightly because it's kind of lore-friendly, I guess, in the sense that it is probably drawn from Warhammer Fantasy, or from Warhammer Fantasy roleplay, and not from Warhammer Fantasy Battle. But anyway, there may be some grumbling from me about them, but just try to ignore it. Anyway, we're going to make use of the Lothern Skycutters not just as range damagers, but to smash into the back of the enemy lines, as there is high value in forcing the enemy to begin crumbling away, and due to the morale shock being suffered. Aislinn is in the midst of some zombies, as we did send him, as well as the Mist Mage and the Water Elementals, forward to tie up a few enemies while we focus down the more critical units, i.e. the... wow, why is Aislinn like twice the size of these guys? Is he an ogre? Good lord. What was I talking about? I don't know, but I'm amused at how big he is here. And yes, I know all the hero and lord models are bigger than standard unit sizes. Does SFO still, you know, shrink them down to regular units? And yeah, I know that these guys are also hunched over, but, you know. Anyway, he's swinging away with those twin blades. We have taken care of the critical enemies, i.e. those vampire coast units with, or the zombie-powered gunnery mobs, those units that are actually liable to do a significant amounts of damage. Otherwise, it's just the deckhand mobs left now, and they're pinned in place, crumbling away, and will soon be brought down. There we go, those around Aislinn have fallen, and the last ones will crumble, giving that first little easy victory to us. Alright, there we go. No problem. Nice little first battle. 10,000 damage on the Oceanas, little mini water elementals. We've got the 4,000 and 4,000 damage on Lothern Skycutters, whose range didn't come in handy as much as the fact that we were able to rear charge the enemy and cause those lovely morale shocks and to get them melting quick as we can. Aislinn got a surprisingly decent 5,000 gold considering he's on foot, and I'm pretty happy with that. Now, the first element of what separates this faction is that it doesn't hold territory like other factions do, and only holds a couple of territories, while it transfers most territory to other High Elves for Asur domination. In this particular case, we will be transferring to the Order of Lore Masters rather than the Knights of Calador, because I figure Imric is unlikely to die very quickly, whereas Teclis always does pretty poorly in my experience, so we can help him survive by keeping a few territories out here for him and establishing our first Sea Patrol outpost. Now, the thing about the Sea Patrol outpost is that they're kind of like the Vampire Coves, I guess. We give them the territories, but we can build some buildings there of our own, some special buildings. To start with, a Diplomat's Sanctum, which will start generating Elven trade, which we will be using to generate our other buildings of various kinds, together with money, and do various things. Again, this is why I didn't want to get into how all of this at once. Anyway, we do have the ability to build one of these things as well. This gives us a dedication per turn. Well, I guess they both give us dedication per turn. Control and corruption reduction. Well, it's not the worst idea in the world. When not built in a coastal settlement, when built in a coastal settlement. This gives us Elven trade, though, and this does not. And we're going to need a lot of Elven trade. I'm going to say maybe we'll do this, but maybe we'll give it some time and wait. Alright, so our first quest is completed, and we immediately get the second one, which we will give a read to once we reach the Tower of the Sun. Alright, you, Aislinn, will start moving towards Charlie Hodgesworth. And we will get you your company of the Calendarian Ship's Company Regiment of Renown. No shields on these guys, so we'll have to be careful, but they do have axes, and thus they will have a little bit of armor piercing, which is always nice to have in the early game. Oh, wow, yeah, these are dirt cheap. 360 and only 85 upkeep? Huh. And it's kind of funny, just to have elves have such a dirt cheap unit. Anyway, Aislinn, I'd like you to go into Route Marcher first, because we'll want to unlock the Renowned Admiral and the Dragon Ship Crew growth, similar to any Black Ark Lord that we might want to do, because it takes a while to grow these things, or at least a while to start off. Triumph again. Where do we have? Okay, so here we have the Lothern Sea Guard, and it's going to take 200 dragon ship supplies plus 500 dragon ship supplies. Okay, yeah, we're going to need a fair few of that. Alright, well, we'll get to generating them once we unlock our first colony. Then we're going to pick our tech, and... Okay, I see some Lothern Sea Guard here, and here. Upkeep reduction for Sea Guard, that's going to be nice in the early game, and this seems to be buffs for Sea Guard, but also buffs for pretty much everything else. And this feels more universal to me, so unless there's something more... Heralds of Civilization. All sea regions are made visible to your faction. That's quite interesting, actually. You know what? We're going to do this first. Unfortunately, this will force a vision of Tzeentchian factions. However, there may be some uses for this. Maybe we can declare war on some factions and get a bunch of free cash. I don't know if it's actually possible, but we'll see. Anyway, do we want to save the dragon ship supplies, or are we okay? You know what? I think what we're going to do is we're going to grab the mess hall for the dragon ship crew growth and the casualty or punishment rate. I'm willing to bet we'll need a fair bit of it. Alright, and I believe that's all we can do for now, and I assume that nobody wants to do anything. We can't trade because we don't have any territory as yet, so let's just keep going until we do. Now, are there any islands around here out of curiosity? Not a one. Well, that's a shame. Not a one? Oh well. I'm sure we'll traverse many a sea and find many an island as we go. Now, I take it Charlie Hodgesworth will run. I think the game wanted us to actually wipe them out first and then head down here and then head back up there, but nah. I don't think it will make too much of a difference, though I do wonder... Well, they're not going to attack us. We'll see what they do. Yeah, they're gonna run, yeah. As expected. Heralds of Civilization. Alright, so this... Oh yeah, we can see the coasts of the entire map. Alright, so... For example, Leones, you start... Okay, no, not you. Lewin, you started war with Skull Smashes. Okay, wait. You started war with Talashlan. I'm just looking for factions. Strigos Empire, we've got Broken Axe. Okay, well, maybe not these guys. Okay, maybe not the... Wow, that is a lot of Dark Elf factions. But yeah, I figured they would get wiped out. The reason I did this was I figured there would be a few little factions that would get wiped out very quickly. For example, the Magathkin gets 648 gold for this, but just joining the war, which we will probably never have any reason to participate in. I'm sure Ivres will be fine. Alright, you know what, let's... Lizardmen. They're a decent option. Okay, probably not the Brazen Throne. I wish I remembered which factions are like super minor factions and which were not. Eastern River Lords, Wormkins. I think they will die. From what I recall, we'll join this war for money. Thanks, Nikai. Hopefully this doesn't lead you to getting wiped out early on. Is this nickel and diming too much? How much do we care about this? I don't know. Maybe not that much. Alright, I would like to talk to at least... Okay, what are Reichland? Okay, I see they're not at war with the Reichland separatists. So yeah, I guess it would be... It wouldn't be happening. And Clan Mange will probably stay alive. I think all the tiny little factions die in their first turn. Alright, never mind about that then. At least we got a little bit of cash, and I don't care enough to find other little minor factions. Too lazy. Alright, you. Aislinn, you are gonna head to the Tower of the Sun next, I suppose, and... we will get our next tech, which is, like I said, the Endless Muster. Like so. Pop into Dragon Ship Expansion, and then get a few of those archers with light armor. We're gonna need more range, and then we will quickly end the turn. And while the turn is ending, I'll be right back. I gotta move my cat real quick. Alright, sorry about that. And Christ destroyed. Alright, fair enough. Sartorials. Oh, that was one I could have declared war upon immediately. Brazen Throne. Oh, the Brazen Throne did get destroyed. Sightless, Strigos Empire, probably could have remembered some of those. Maybe could have remembered some of those. Anyway, Aislinn, I think we have an opportunity to try your Mist Landing stance here. As soon as we level up the Mist Mage, anyway. Mathlann Spite, please. Do we have enough troops to deal with this? I'm just going to assume that we do. We should be able to draw out the enemy by doing this. Valiant defeat casualties high, certainly they outnumber us, but do they outnumber us enough? Do they out-quality us? Definitely not. Go.
We hold domain over the sea. None shall thread it without our sanction.
Alright, well, I don't know about none, Aislinn, because you're 0 for 2 against Lokir, at least until the end times, but I digress. Here we go. The enemy outnumbers us by a fairly considerable margin, so we're going to actually have to think about how we play this and be decently careful, which is a good sign for an early game battle, as, well, you gotta enjoy the harder fights. Anyway, we're gonna start off with trying to knock out the enemy flyers, whether it be Fellbats or deck droppers. We don't want them annoying our range units, specifically our archers, so our Lothern Skycutters will start annoying them, while we get into position to try to take advantage of the elevation of this hill. Looks like the Skycutters will get hit by a Spirit Leech, and we will hit the enemy back with a quick Mathlann Spite, while we head directly towards the Bloated Corpse. And Aislinn takes that explosion to the face, but obviously a single unit is not going to be significantly damaged. We did keep the Oceanids back, specifically to deal with those Bellbats, as we expected them to come down upon our units. And a little bit of help from the Great Axes of the Company of Kilindirian. We knocked them out rather quick. Otherwise, the main enemy army are coming in as reinforcements, both the garrison and the other little armies, so we have time to hopefully knock out this first little force and not allow them to add their units to the enemy's numbers. We have a lot of zombies to work through after all, so it's better to deplete their numbers fast as we can. Sword and board units are engaged against these zombie pirate deckhand mobs, 2 tier 1 units facing off against each other, something of a rarity in the game, as you don't hold on to tier 1 units too long, generally speaking, outside of a few factions like Vampire Counts with their zombies and the Skaven with their Skaven slaves. But usually the meat of most factions is in tier 2 rather than 1. Anyway, zombie pirate deckhand mob, the last, I should say, of the zombie pirate deckhand mobs will fall, and the first army is destroyed, but the real battle is about to begin. And I'm going to speed it up while the enemy heads towards us, and we'll start targeting those deck droppers, both with our range units, well, I guess only with our range units, but I mean both with our missile infantry and our flying missile chariots. That's what the Lothern Skycutters are called. Fair enough. Alright, gonna knock those deck droppers out. They are much less threatening in vanilla than they are in SFO, where they're extremely dangerous. But nonetheless, especially the bomber variant is still going to be very much a threat, and we don't want to chuck in those bombs, so we're going to send the Skycutters into melee just to force these guys back where they cannot fire upon us. That said, moving the Skycutters in like this means that the enemy will target them with their handguns, and just like certain units, like support units, the AI seems to have a tendency to target these Skycutters with range. Very quickly, a couple of volleys sees this unit of Skycutters lose like 30%, or 60% I should say, of their HP and lose one Skycutter, so we're going to have no choice but to back off. Now, we've deployed in such a way where we will be able to use the trees for cover, and we'll begin fighting these zombies beneath the canopy. But the trees will shield us from a lot of the missile fire on the right flank, while the elevation advantage still provides our archer units a benefit against the other enemy range. Now, we're going to move as many units to engage whatever range units we can as possible, while our own range units are, well, primarily our missile infantry, try to focus down the handguns first, because they have longer range, followed by the hand cannons, because they have high damage, and leaving the regular zombie pirate gunnery mobs as in the ones with pistols for last. Fortunately, the Oceanids tear through those units of handguns rather quickly by the looks of it. Our melee is pinned in place against the enemy melee, unfortunately, as since the enemy outnumbers us, we don't have the units, sufficient numbers of units, I should say, to just rush the enemy range. Our Mist Mage is locked in combat with some zombies, just to distract them so that they don't move towards our own missile infantry, while Aislinn is once again in a duel against the enemy Vampire Fleet Admiral. It looks like they're going to pop off an Invocation of Nehek to heal themselves, so this duel is probably going to be going on for a while, though they're down to 40% of their HP, and it looks like, so far, it's going in our favor. Otherwise, beneath the canopy, we have started to take a fair bit of damage to one of the ship's companies, and are actually going to have to move some of the Lothern Sea Guard into melee to reinforce. The enemy Admiral is down to 10-15% of their HP now. Although a few zombies have interfered with Aislinn's twin blades. Ooh, I would like to see if he has a execution animation. Would be nice. Come on. It just looked like a regular hit and kill, so he might, but I didn't see it there. Anyway, now that we've dealt with one hand cannon unit with the Oceanids, we're going to move them into the rear of the enemy and hit the second hand cannon unit A and force some of the enemy's other range units into the melee. We've reinforced the line of the floundering units of ship's company with the Lothern Sea Guard in melee, though they still had missiles remaining or ammunition remaining, and they will hopefully be able to hold the ground. In fact, no hopefully about it, as with the fall of the enemy lord and the destruction of the last of the enemy's hand cannons, it may be a Pyrrhic victory, but the victory is ours. Alright, there we go, 4,000 gold for our trouble, huh? It's pretty interesting. That is, does seem like a fair bit. We did take a fair bit of damage ourselves, and frankly, if this, well, obviously, if the roles were reversed, as in if we had the enemy army would be overwhelming us by a pretty big margin, in my estimation, but the AI generally doesn't play vampire counts or coast particularly well, as it doesn't really understand how to play the undead, and so we can leverage our strength to overwhelm them pretty easily, despite the sheer amount of damage that they could deal. That said, they were still able to snipe 2 Lothran Skycutters with a couple of their handguns. The crew, the ship's company, remain rather fragile, although our range units were able to kick them, and a solid 14k damage out of the Oceanids. Aislinn cut down the enemy lord, and all went reasonably well. You know what? +2 influence per turn. I think we'll take it this time. We need the additional influence to get a little bit of those Patrons of the Realms things going, so we'll do that. Next, Aislinn, you're still able to move. I'm gonna hope that if we attack you, we can still... do we risk it? There's barely anything in the way of defenses left. I wonder if this guy can run. There's nothing there. Okay, I'm gonna assume you can't run. Let's just do this. Auto-resolve. Okay, now we're fine. You can never trust the auto-resolve. And this time we don't establish an outpost, but rather establish our first elven colony. These are the super limited things that we've got for our faction. And we can immediately go into commandment and, control and corruption reduction. I think we start with that, because we have corruption here and our control is horrendous. Even with the conquest gone, so will our military presence be gone, and we have no bonus control by the looks of it. Now, the elven colonies seem to generate a fairly decent bit of cash for us. I noticed that they don't seem to generate... Okay, elven colony +1 ability, but anyway, I don't think they generate any trade. This generates dragon ship supplies, however, so we needed those, and it's going to start getting additional ones. Now, we will have the ability to trade if we get the spice market, and I think that's probably the first thing we want to go for. Mostly because, wow, -300 elven trade per turn eventually, but not right now. Just taking a quick look at all this stuff. Money per turn is good, obviously. This one has no detriment, essentially, so we'll definitely want the Phoenix King's Treasury thing. Don't really care about the defensive structures, at least not as yet. And the military structures are not needed here in our first province, simply because we can build those in our horde. Pilgrimage grounds, dragons, including the ability to get a moon dragon, would be nice. Elven colony availability +1 as well, when built in a sea patrol outpost. Huh, that's interesting. Well, at least it gives us 30 trade, but the game wanted us to build this in an outpost? Go figure. What does this do? When built in a colony, elven trade. When built in an outpost. Okay, but this gives us the thing anyway. Sorry, we're fine. Yeah, we're gonna go for the spice market. Oh, it will also generate trade. Lovely, but what it will really do is allow us to trade with these factions on Ulthuan, and I think that's pretty darn important. Alright, now this will have completed the quest, which we're going to give a read to. There are few sites in the world of greater significance to the Asur than the Tower of the Sun, the Shrine of Asurion, Vol's Anvil, the Gaian Vale, but surely none beyond Ulthuan's enchanted shores. Forget its mercantile and military importance, it is a land of great and primordial magic, the site of the Everqueen's decennial voyage from Ulthuan for the rituals that hold Sarwar na Yenlui at bay and delay the end of the world for another 10 years. Yeah, thanks, Elves. It's all you. You're the... yeah. Anyway, frickin' Elves. As a Sea Lord, you too have sailed these same waters, not in prayer, but in war, and it defends every drop of Asur blood you carry to see it defiled by freebooting filth. What do we have next? Destroy the following faction, Dreadrock Privateers, giving us stability restored. Oh, that'll fix our control problems and decorruptify the place. Lovely. And 300 dragon ship supplies, I presume, will allow us to go for the tier 2. Indeed it will. As soon as we have the growth, of course. Might mean we'll want to upgrade the growth then. Alright, we'll give that a read as soon as we deal with it. Now, if we need the growth, we're going to pop 2 points into Renown Admiral and then start moving into Inspiring Presence, as we'll want Militia Master as fast as possible, both for the ship's companies and the Lothran Sea Guard. We can get some basic Sea Guard up and running if we want. Let's see, 165 range and 21 missile strength versus 180 range and 21 missile strength. You know what? They're cheaper. We'll go for the archers with light armor. They're still going to have to be deleted no matter what. That's the thing. To be replaced by shielded Lothern Sea Guard, and thus there's no real point to build the unshielded Lothern Sea Guard as far as I can tell. Yeah, anyway, we'll need more trade generations. So Envoys Guild Hall for 100 trade and 1300 gold. And we could build the watch. Oh, no, we can't build the watchtower. We gotta build this rebuilt citadel. Unbreakable during siege battles rather, against Dark Elves. Yeah, fair enough. For all armies, all units are unbreakable. Interesting. Well, yeah, you probably would be unbreakable because you probably know what the Dark Elves are gonna do to you if you break. So, kind of makes sense. Ritual. We've got the Invocation of Asurian available, though I'm willing to bet that the construction cost does not apply to the outpost buildings. So we're not going to bother with it right now. Because construction reductions never seem to apply to coves or to undercities or anything like that, so yeah. Anyway, Mist Mage, let's get increased mobility at least 1 point, and then go for Flensing Har, because it's a chaining effect that reduces enemy missile block chance, which we're somewhat reliant upon right now, as well as armor reduction, which is just generally nice, especially for the sword and board units which have relatively low armor piercing. Alright, the rest I'm happy with, and I believe we're ready to end another turn, and go to the Tower of the Stars next. Alright, and then I assume it's going to take 1 turn to build that spice thing. And if it does, let's see if we can't get those trade agreements going. Also take a look at our influence as well to see if we can make use of any of the other new... Okay, no. Yeah, nothing we can make use of. Ah, I lied. Dedication. Okay, so... Calador, Hawkland, okay, so a bunch of things died, and yeah, maybe I should have tried a little bit harder to declare war for money, but all good. Light Ithilmar Armory will be our pick here for the armor and speed for the Lothern Sea Guard.
The sea patrol needs augmentation.
Then, I mean, I guess we'll move towards the Tower of the Stars and build or recruit at the same time. Oh, there's an island out here. Any other islands? I was hoping we might pick up a Skull Island, but nowhere near, alas. Anyway, what do we have here? I guess we could do another 2 ships companies, although... Is this sufficient range units? I mean, we'll do 2 and 2. Until we can get Lothern Sea Guards, so... I think we're fine. Alright, we got the Spice Market, meaning we can go to Diplo and... Trade Agreement. There we go, that's what I wanted. Alrighty, so... maybe we don't want to trade with the Elves immediately. Start trading with the western provinces first.
Busy with my alchemies. But
like so. And then we'll go for the Order of Lore Masters. They're weak, but, you know.
Well, speak if you must.
Non-aggression pact. We'll eventually confederate them, but the trade agreement will be good for both of us. And Elves in general do pretty good when trading. Nagaroth, Knights of Calador, these are all like minus 0.1, so even if we give them like a tiny bit of cash, the trade will pay for itself very quickly. Get all the trades going immediately. Alright, we'll need to establish another colony soon to get more trades. Oh, okay, there we go. And that's gone. Eastern River Lords, you're actually going to be dead soon, but I guess we'll trade with you until you're dead, so we'll do that. Alright, good enough. Probably shouldn't have picked it quite as at random as I did, but ooh, Akatane, hello. Free money. Yes, yes, yes. Give us money before you die to Grom the Paunch. Tepok Spawn, you're going to die to Kugath, but you can give us the tiny amount of cash until you do. And I believe that's all we can get out of all of the AIs. Alright, now we're making 646 in trade, which is pretty solid. Now, we could upgrade you immediately for 2,000 gold. It's a bit on the expensive side, but it's more trade potential, so I guess we're going to go for it. We can upgrade the Elven Embassy. And I guess we should. It's more Elven trade. Gotta spend trade to make trade, I guess. And we'll upgrade these eventually as well. You know, when we have the cash to do it. Alright, I guess we're good for another end turn then, and the turn, what is this again? Alright, that's to wipe these guys out, which we will do momentarily. And I'm willing to bet that this little army is gonna run, because they should know that they have no chance against us. They had no chance when we were outnumbered, and they will certainly have no chance when we're not. Oh wow, they didn't run. Okay, well they didn't run yet, but they will. And hello. Use influence. Okay, we'll take a look at this in a second. Tower of the Sun, unusual location. What do we have here? Sewer dwelling. No. That's a waste of 1,000 gold, but yeah, we're certainly not allowing some Skaven cult to be there. Huh, if you burn down an unusual location in a place, can you... Huh, did that island just spawn, or did I miss it earlier? Well, either way. Can you get another unusual location in the same place if you burn down a previous one? I don't know. Guess we'll find out. Alright, Aislinn, kill. Close victory against this. Ah, this is gonna hurt, isn't it? I'm tempted to not auto-resolve it. You know what, let's fight this. I feel like it'll hurt our army too much because I don't trust the close victory and we don't heal that much right now, so quickly we'll go through it.
For the glory and safety of Ulthuan.
Alrighty, here we go. This one should be a little bit quicker and easier than the previous fight. And yeah, Aislinn does look considerably bigger than the other elves, doesn't he? The other elves come up to his shoulders. He's a big boy. Oh, I like that cape of his, though. That's pretty nice. Anyway, we're gonna head towards the enemy army and set up in such a way where we can take advantage of our missile fire. Against the Vampire Coast, the early game High Elves have a pretty big advantage as, well, the enemy doesn't have much of their artillery as yet, and their handguns and zombie zombie gunnery mobs, zombie pirate gunnery mobs of various variants are going to be too fragile to take too many hits. I'm gonna pop off a Mathlann spite on one of the units, slowing them down so that they cannot get in range while the pin cushioning begins, and start rushing them with Aislinn with our units of Oceanids and pretty much anything that can close the distance with the same set enemy units. Alright, just gotta tie them up so that they can't be firing. And oh wow, he poked that zombie with that sword but it went flying. There we go, the Oceanids have closed the distance now. And we'll tie that unit up while the slower elements, the ship's companies, are making their way forward as well. There is a fair amount of enemies left on the, well, left flank, but we're going to reorient our missile troops to fire upon the handguns, followed by the non-handgun zombies afterwards, while we hold back the... I don't see pole arms here. Looks like just regular deckhands mobs here with our ship's companies. That should go decently well for us, and our sword and board units are, what, 37 melee defense compared to the 18, 17 of the deckhand mobs, who kind of serve a similar purpose, but expect their own range units to do damage, which is why we don't focus on and by and large ignore the enemy melee while focusing down the enemy range. It is the Vampire Coast, after all. Anyway, looks like the last of the enemy range units has fallen, and while a few enemy melee remain pinned by our main line, the battle is just about done. One unit of zombie pirate deckhand mobs tries to go around us, or get around our flanks, but we slow them down with Mathlann's spite, and then promptly pincushion them with all of our range units, returning the zombies to their grave. There we go, very nice. Decisive victory, no problem at all. Alright, free battle banner, which is an enemy leadership reduction. Actually fairly useful against Vampire Coast, so why the heck not? Alrighty, and we'll establish another outpost for the Order of Lore Masters, keeping them hopefully alive. Lovely. Alright, we were not damaged to any significant degree, and we will complete the quest here. Yes. Oh, wait. Defeat the following lords in battle. This is a new quest. Unlock Aislinn's unique sea lanes. Alright. We'll give this a read once we do this. Destroy the following faction. Okay, so with an elven foothold re-established in the largest of the populated isles, it is time to exert Asur dominance over the rest of the archipelago. Take full control of the western sea lanes, and the last remaining pirates will be effectively cut off, allowing you to strangle provincial outposts at your leisure. Stability restored, and dragon ship supply. Oh, I guess this is the new quest. Alright, fine. We'll give this a read right now, maybe. Ooh. I forgot that this gives us influence per turn. Maybe we should pop... Oh, actually, no. We should do this. Invocation of Vol to get a new item. As soon as this is done, we're at 2 out of 3, right? Yeah. Alright, so I guess we'll do that. We'll wait for the Light Ithilmar Armory and not pop off any right, I guess, right now. Ooh, also, another one of these Diplomat's Sanctums. Alright, so what's the new quest? What's it about? Victory condition? No. How do we... Oh, it's right here. So, the vessel is a black mark on the horizon, but familiarity breeds immediate recognition as well as contempt. A mountainous hulk of scarred grey rock and harpy-infested crags, the waters around it churned white from the shoals of daggerfish and Charybdis following in the vessel's wake. A black arc of Nagaroth, come to prey on the wealthy coastlines of Ind and Cathay, most likely, but you cannot be certain. At the very least, a show of force is required, lest the Druki return after your fleet has departed. Now, we're able to reach you immediately? I was gonna have you build stuff. Did we completely regain all of our movement range? I guess the quest reward did that. Alright, well, regardless, we have a couple of things. First of all, the Asur domination. And basically, we have buffs that we can get from the leaders, depending on how many territories we give them, of various kinds, which we'll take a look at as we get them. So at 2 out of 2, we have... Flamespire allies, all characters, unit XP gain, character XP gain for 3 turns. I presume if we use consult leaders. So we could do this, and we could also gain a little bit in the way of equipment. Free Book of Hoeth, at the cost of 1,000 treasury. I don't know what the cooldown on this is, though. And I genuinely would like to know, though it'll probably take a while to... get any of these others now, but anyway. And the other thing is we have the Outpost dedication, which also give us, well, Outpost, Colony, and Dragon Ship dedication, all of which gives us a bunch of stuff. What I do know is that Outposts are the thing we build the most, and okay, we will want to unlock something. Let's take a quick look at what these things... Ooh, so 120 Elven Trade per... We got Elven Trade losses, but gain of income, which will eventually be useful. Dragon Ship supplies. Alright, I think that's the one. Elven Trade plus 15. Okay, so yeah, I want the Dragon Ship supplies. So, Asur Domination Reward. This is called Provincial Cartways, was it? Alrighty, so... Okay, I went to the wrong thing. We'll take a look at that in a second. Provincial Cartways. Seaguard Bulwark, no... Of course, it's the last one. Okay, so yeah, Provincial Cartways. Yes, this is what we want to unlock. Like so. And soon we'll eventually... Well, then after the next one, we'll get a little bit of bonus trade and construction reduction. Good. Then... Wait a moment. Active effects. This is from this. Not from this. I really would like to say what the cooldown of this is. Maybe once we do it, it'll say the cooldown, but it's a little bit weird that it doesn't immediately. It's 1,000 gold, so we could pop it off just for fun. Just to see. Yeah, let's do it, why not? Alrighty, so let's do this. Checklist, consult leaders. Alright, so, we get to pick one. For 1,000 gold, we get 2 blue items, which is pretty nice. This is nice too, but I'm gonna say this. Request equipment. Alright, now, if we look at the... Okay, didn't mean to do that. If we go back to this, it's 8 turns cooldown. Okay, well, would have been nice to know that beforehand, but I still would have done it. Alright, well, we'll give the Book of Hoeth and... I guess Valoriath's robe to you. You are a caster, and your weapon strength was already kind of minor, so why not? I mean, we'll keep the battle banner as it is. What about our leveling? Let's start going through Militia Master. It'll be... Well, we'll have to start saving points for your unique line eventually as well, but we'll get there when we get there. Now we have Flensing Har. This gives it an extended effect duration. This... Hello, a heal out of Ladriel's Shroud. Alright, so let's go to this tier 2 of Ladriel's Shroud, and we'll make use of the heal once we get it to the 2nd level. And we'll grab Obscuring Haze and the Missile Strength, or Missile Resistance afterwards. Alright, so we'll fight this in a second. We have unlocked this now. Oh. Meaning, wait, if we cancel this, we will be able to, yes, we will, yeah, we'll have to convert it, but it's all good. We'll do this. And then once that one's constructed, we'll do that as well. So we have decent amounts of dragon ship supplies, and we'll be able to build you up as soon as we grow, which is going to take a bit, but, you know, our growth's okay now. And then hopefully that'll get us all the way to soldier quarters, the Lothern Sea Guard, and the noble. Yes, alright, good. Are we able to, actually, I just want to say, are we able to recruit anything else? No. Hero-wise, I mean. And no regiments of renown, meaning I guess we got another fight. I wanted to go over here, but I guess the quest battle's right beside us, so we're gonna do this one instead. Pop on in our first Black Ark. We got a lot of Harpies, Black Ark Corsairs, piles of Bleak Swords, and Dread Spears. Tier 1 versus, yeah, about equivalent. We're almost all Tier 1 units, with a couple of Tier 2s and a couple of Tier 3s that we started with. Go, wait. Battle banner, go, go, go.
We hold domain over the sea. None shall thread it without our sanction.
Alrighty, here we go. Dark Elves versus High Elves for the first time in this campaign. I'm sure, I'm sure both sides are very eager to get into it. And I do find it a little bit of a shame that Dragon Ship versus Black Ark isn't a special map. And generally speaking, I do feel like the, I mean, they should have at least put the Dragon Ship down here, alright? But anyway, the Black Ark maps could use a little bit of work, and hopefully one day we'll get some more. But anyway, I digress. In the meantime, though, we should have a pretty darn fun fight. The enemies will start by heading towards us with their Harpies, and we will start by focusing them down with our range units as best we can. That means both the Lothern Sea Guard archers as well as the Sky Cutters. That said, we have kept a few of our units back, namely the Company of Calendyrian and the units of Oceania, specifically for when the Harpies were inevitably going to come down upon our fragile High Elven archers. This will eventually and inevitably no longer be possible as soon as our Lothern Sea Guard replace those, but for now, they're still fairly fragile. Anyway, we move towards the enemy Black Ark Corsairs, which do a massive amount of damage with their handbows to the poor Company of Calendyrian. And they lose about half of their HP in 2 volleys, which ain't so great. On the bright side, though, the Harpy is gone. We can move the Oceanids into the fray. Our units of Ship's Company will do their best to hold back the enemy Bleak Swords. Bleak Swords are, of course, garbage units, but they're on par, if not slightly better, and by the looks of it, than unbuffed Ship's Company. Perhaps due to the, well, a little bit less melee defense, but a little bit more in the way of armor. That said, the enemy will start soon taking advantage of their murderous prowess, while our own martial prowess will have dropped on several of the units once they have lost their HP. It is enabled if hit points are greater than 25%, so it's now inactive on this Ship's Company, for example. Alrighty, but that's all good. The Harpies have attempted to rally, but we chased them down with either Arrow or Lothern Sky Cutter. Unit of Black Ark Corsairs here has been pretty much torn apart by the Oceanids, which is unsurprising. It is a tier 3 monstrous infantry unit after all, and does plenty of damage. It also has a fairly high melee defense, so we can certainly use these things to tie up enemies. Between the immunity to contact effects, a high physical resistance, they should be pretty effective at that, though the low armor will probably mean that they will be very susceptible to enemy missile fire. Which, funnily enough, sounds a little bit odd, you know, shooting a bunch of arrows into a big old blob of water you wouldn't think is particularly effective. But I digress. And the bounce power has shifted to about 75% in our favor. Aislinn has, for some reason, stopped, but is going to immediately, or in a couple of seconds, once I notice, start moving. There he goes. Back to the enemy lord to begin their duel while we chase down the last remnants of the enemy range. Only the Bleak Swords and Dread Spears are still fighting in the center, where our Mist Mage holds the line, or at least helps the remnants of our Ship's Companies, who are at this point severely damaged, both from their fights against the enemy Bleak Swords, and now this unit is probably destroyed. severely damaged by that, as well as a little bit of friendly fire. We do back off the other severely damaged units, Company of Calendarian, but down to 6 units I think means the unit will not come back. Fortunately, like I said before, we don't really care about the ship's companies dying because they're dirt cheap and we can replace them easily. And at the same time, the Calendarian's company is a regiment of renown, so if it should die here in 10 turns, it'll come back. Anyway, these guys have been dueling for a fair bit. Both have been pin-cushioned with bolt and arrow alike. But the decisive blow will be delivered with blade, and there we go with that. Aislinn takes down. Oh, no, not with that. With that, Aislinn takes down the Dark Elf Admiral, and this Black Ark will be sunk by his dragon ship. Lovely. Much more fighting with Dark Elves in our future. I'm sure it would feel wrong not to have a contest between Aislinn and Lokir, especially considering that would be a loreful thing to do. We'll see it later. Alrighty, there we go. Fun fight. The Company of Calendarian unfortunately were destroyed, and I'm actually shocked that this ship's company survived, but they didn't really, in the sense that we're going to merge them with another one anyway, so yeah, that was always the plan, and we'll definitely make use of it. Most of the damage come in and out of the archers in Lothern Seaguard, and, well, they'll be replaced with more Lothern Seaguard as soon as we possibly can. Otherwise, this will complete our quest. Could heal up. Or we take the money because we're about to recruit some stuff. I guess this is the last enemy out here anyway, so we'll have to travel, which means healing as we go anyway. So yeah, you know what? Take the money, ransom those captives. Oh, right, I forgot about the island. Okay, we'll still have to do the island, well, a little bit damaged, but all good. And now we'll have to hunt down what remains of you. Unlock Aislinn's unique sea lanes. Good. Kill this. And will the auto-resolve? Ha, it won't kill this one ship's company. Good. Free spotter spyglass, which we will hopefully turn to something else. Let's go for ransom captives again. It's not a lot, but what it is hello. Confessions at fist point. It is no simple thing, exacting an honest confession from the pallid lips of a Druki. They loathe their fairer kin far more than they fear death at their hands. It takes a stomach of unusual resolve to break one who has lived under the paranoia of the Witch King and the sadism of his vile mother, and known nothing but suffering since birth. Few Asur would even try. I have told you all I know, the Druki corsair sneers. His elven beauty has been shattered by the blows of your fists, remade into something better reflecting the broken soul beneath. The lords of Clark-Karan seek a trove of ancient treasure buried somewhere on the coast of Ulthuan. I do not know where it is. I do not know what it is supposed to contain. We had been summoned back to the underworld sea to learn more. That is all the captain told me. I swear it. You believe him, and for that reason alone you are merciful. A knife to the heart is a kindness the Druki scarce deserve. You wipe bloody hands on pure white robes and calmly sheathe the blade. Bring in the next. Alrighty, so we have... Aislinn now has access to unique sea lanes located in the Eastern Isles. So, okay, so we get that regardless, and we generate a mission depending on where we want to go. Ulthuan, Cathay, Lustria, or the Southlands. I'm gonna say no to Cathay for now. I assume that once we complete one mission, we'll just go to the next mission, so it probably just matters what we pick first. The Southlands seems like a decent option because we would be going to save Teclis, but since I decided to give him territory, he probably won't die, meaning we can probably rule out the Southlands. It would also mean probably repeating a Teclis campaign in the sense that it would be exactly the same. Lustria, I just did a bunch of Lustria and Tic-Tac-Toe. I'm actually kind of thinking we go for Ulthuan. And essentially save Ulthuan, which will keep them trading. And oh, actually, yeah, Ulthuan might be the best option because we want to do the influence there as well. And it'll be a little bit more self-sufficient if we prevent Nakari and the Slaaneshi from destroying it. I'm going to say sail to Ulthuan. We must gather strength upon our own shores, drive out Skullcrag's orcs, scour Druki cults, and banish Slaanesh's fiends. Plus the speed buff from defeating Nakari is always nice. So yeah, sail to Ulthuan. Alrighty, and that will mean Seducers of Slaanesh, Cult of Excess. I don't even know who you are. Oh, you're in the... There's a short... Okay. How dare you? In the Shrine of Asurian, really. What does this give us? Cathican Astrolabe. Ooh, range for Lothar and Seaguard. And I do note that we have influence at plus 40 now. Alright, so acquire all 5 dragon ships. Okay, that's going to take a long time, so we'll give this a read once we deal with it. Patrons of the Realms. Yeah, I've checked this, and this is the one we want. Cathik. I mean, it was always, once again, going to be either Lothern or Cathik, but Cathik gives us a better buff, in the sense that an early buff. This gives us Phoenix Guard and Phoenix buffs, which is nice, whereas Cathik gives us buffs for Lothern, Sea Guard, Oceanids, and Sea Elementals, and armor when fighting at sea, all stuff that would be ideal for Mr. Aislinn. Unfortunately, we can't do this until for 3 turns, so I guess we're going to wait. We could pick another one of them, but I don't really see the need. I'm sure, you know what, I'll take another look at these between the episodes, but I'm pretty sure the one we want right away is Cathik, because nothing else will buff us to any significant degree. Well, this buffs archers, which is nice, but it doesn't include Sea Guard, which is what we buff in the first place. And then all the elite units we don't really care about buffing. Tirnock chariots are kind of a waste. So yeah, we will sail to Ulthuan. Unfortunately, however, we will do that next time around. Oh, well, actually, before I get into that. So basically, you put lords into these positions, and over time, you use them to confederate everybody. It's pretty simple, but it's another reason why I figure we want to keep Ulthuan alive, because, well, we have to have our lords positioned in all of these places, and you can't do that when they are occupied by enemies, and if Ulthuan in its entirety gets destroyed by Slaaneshi and whatnot, then we won't be able to use that system at all, so it's better to just make sure that Ulthuan is safe. Anyway, as I was saying, this is probably the good place to call it then, or call this episode, because we will travel to Ulthuan presumably next, or we could still travel and save Teclis or somewhere else first and then go to Ulthuan. I will think about it, it's just that we have the mission to do that and we should probably take advantage of it. Regardless, next time we select a place to go and we go there, and we'll try to upgrade our dragon ship sufficiently to unlock some new stuff and get some other units in here. Start building up that army properly. Oh, wow, we get Oceanids pretty early, so we can definitely get a couple more fairly quickly. Go figure. I'll have to grumble my way into using them, but, you know, deal with it. Yeah, just rambling, because I kind of want to keep on playing, but you'll just have to wait until the next episode like me. So stay tuned for more. Don't forget to leave those likes and comments below. All glory to the algorithm, and thanks for watching.